Welcome to Martin Monday's Intentional Intimacy, where love, life, and legacy meet in the moments that matter most. Every week, I will share sacred reflections of my 30-year marriage before Martin's passing, as well as our life now without him. May these reflections help us live with more weight, warmth, and wisdom. Martin was a letter carrier by profession, but a life carrier by purpose. So let's take a moment and let intentional intimacy speak.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Paula. Welcome to episode 34 of Martin Mondays, When Empathy Walks. And so this is probably going to be a rather endearing conversation, but we're going to get through this together. So it is now officially spring here on the East Coast, and it's something about the weather changing that makes me often think about um, memories of my husband. And so, sure enough, as the weather is getting a little nicer, it makes me think about him. And so, it wasn't just the heat alone and the nicer weather, but it was the memory that popped up. And so, it made me think about Martin. It's not quite as hot as the summer days that he enjoyed or endured, but it made me think about, warmer weather and um, where he just kind of kept moving regardless of the weather, regardless of how cold it was, regardless of how hot it was, for literally 34 years as a letter carrier. That was a lot, right? Um, I used to say he retired, he's going to retire at the end of the year, 2021. I was looking forward to him retiring, but I realized it was 37 days before the end of the year, before his retirement, after 34 years that he passed away. So it's kind of funny in a way how grief kind of sharpens the details you once kind of let blur, because I didn't really think about that, but I thought about it the other day. And I remember I kept asking him more than once, a couple of times, like, babe, don't you want to go inside and take a different job and get off the streets, find something else you can do and get you out of those elements? The winters when it's cold and the summers where the heat is relentless. Like, don't you want to get away from all that? And he would always say, almost kind of casually, like it's just part of the job, babe. It's 20 degrees hotter in my truck than it is outside. There's no air in my truck. And, I only have 638 stops on my mail route. Only? Only 638 stops? Like, through it all, my husband never complained. He never did. He never complained. He knew what the job did to his body. He also knew what the job gave to his heart because you see, he loved his patrons. He loved the people that he served. And quite honestly, they loved him too. And so there's something really sacred about being expected, about being a part of somebody's daily rhythm. He would catch people, at the Wawa or at the gas station. He wasn't just delivering mail, he was delivering presents, his presence. But even through it all, I still worried. Like, I didn't, I worried about him out in the streets. I worried about him in the heat and the cold. Um, and I worried too about the boys, our three sons, because I really wanted them to understand the level of sacrifice and what their father was really carrying. It wasn't just about a mailbag, but he was carrying the weight of showing up every single day. So I would tell them, like, guys, encourage your dad, make sure we have something cold for him to drink, when he gets in the house, or something warm, for the days that he comes in. Let him know that you see him, right? Let him know that you appreciate like what he's doing. And thankfully, my boys, they did that. They did, and they did it well in their own little ways. They acknowledged their dad. I'll never forget though, one summer, I really wanted them to feel it, right? Like, it's not enough just to say it. Like, I want you to feel it, right? And not just understand it. I wanted them to really feel it. So I came up with this idea, guys. And so, in our neighborhood, there's 49 houses. And so I told the boys that they had to go out in the heat in the summer and they had to touch every mailbox. And they had to stop at each one and stop and like count at least to three to five at every mailbox. They couldn't have their bikes. They couldn't have any shortcuts like with a scooter or anything like that. Like they literally had to walk and stop and simulate delivering the mail by touching each mailbox over and over and over again. 49 stops versus 638. And so at first it was, kind of just a task, but as they were doing it, something shifted. Our neighbors, they kind of started noticing what they were doing. And they even started encouraging the boys, offering them a bottle of water, because it was hot, And so slowly, what was kind of once a job became something else. And, through their 49 stops, the boys really began to understand. Not through explanation, because I could explain it all day long, but them experiencing it created something different. And I saw it in them. They kind of got softer. They developed a different type of respect, for their dad and an awareness that they really hadn't had before. Something about experience brings a different level of awareness. And so I remember that summer definitely changed something in them. And I remember thinking, okay, good, this is it. This will be our new tradition, like, a couple days a week or, whatever, they'll go out and experience what their dad is experiencing. We're sitting in the air conditioning all day, like we should be experiencing, or they should be experiencing what their dad is doing. Well, that was my plan until Martin found out. And he stopped it right in the middle of our tracks. He was like, nope, just like that. He said, the boys, they've learned enough. He did not want them working that hard and simulating the type of work that he was doing, not even to try to understand them. He didn't want them to have to do that. That was how Martin was. He carried the weight and he didn't want it to be passed down. He decided to carry it all himself. And that is one of the last lessons and probably one of the best lessons that he gave us. And so I'm going to reflect on the other side. So when empathy walks, right? Empathy is not always something that is taught in words. Sometimes it's walked, mailbox by mailbox, step by step in the hot sun. Now, Mama P, I never did the mailbox exercise myself. I did not. But to be honest, I really didn't need to because every time the temperature would rise or even drop to too low, I thought of my husband. Even now, I think about him as the weather changes, being out there, moving, delivering, and how when he would come home, I wanted to make sure that he was seen, that he was celebrated, that he was appreciated for the sacrifice that he was making. Not because he asked for it, because God knows he never did, but quite honestly, because he deserved it. He really did. You know, There's a saying by Carl Rogers. He says that, what is it? Empathy is a special way of coming to know about another and yourself. I like that definition because it's not just about knowing about another. You also learn about yourself. And I saw that happen. I saw that happen with my boys. They learned about their father, but they also learned about themselves. And Martin, he chose to protect them from the weight of the responsibilities that he bore. And he showed his love in a way that really didn't need an explanation. See, empathy, it goes both ways. Both ways. So maybe the question isn't what's the lesson? Maybe the question is something even a little more quieter than that. Maybe it's this. Look at your life. And where in your life can you pause long enough to truly, truly feel what someone else carries? Not to try to fix it, not to try to solve it, but to really feel it. Like I wanted my boys to feel it, right? Do you feel someone else's life and what they carry? And so I want to challenge you this week. I want you to choose one person in your life. And I want you to honor what they carry. But I want you to honor it not just in reflection, but I want you to do it out loud. Not speechless, not for performance, but I want you to let that person know that you see them. And let them know how you feel about that. That's your call to action this week. That's what I'm challenging you to do. Because just like Martin, he delivered more than mail. He truly did. He delivered what it means to be seen, one stop at a time. He did 638 in one day. I'm only asking you to do it for one. Let me know how it makes out for you. I'm sure you will bring a lot of joy and a lot of appreciation to that person, for them to be seen, for them to be noticed, and to be appreciated by you. And I hope in turn, just like empathy goes both ways, I hope in turn that someone does that for you as well. Have a great week. I'll catch you next time on Martin Mondays. Take care.
Martin Mondays continues on Tuesday with the Tuesday Tea. Check it out and join me and take a sip.
You know, Martin used to say a lot of things. Some were funny, some were wise, but one thing he often said was, wow. Wow. Just those 3 letters. It spoke volumes. It meant a lot. When he didn't know what to say, wow. When he was excited about something, wow. When he was confused, perhaps, or even frustrated, he said, wow. And you know, he's still saying wow. Through this bracelet, he's still saying wow, because he's still saying, may your whole life prove that God is good. And so in closing, that's my hope for you this week. May you have wow moments as you too are living out legacy. Live in the wow. Live in the reality of knowing that your whole life is good. Live in the heartbeat of Martin Mondays and intentional intimacy. May that anchor you in this week as you build legacy, one wow, one moment at a time. See you next week.